arrests made there. What will this mean for security in the run-up to the elections? I've been speaking to Olivier Guittard. He is security and counter-terrorism expert from the company Global Strategy. I've asked him, has the gunman officially been named?
No, last night the French prosecutor gave details about background and whereabouts, but didn't mention a name. But what we know so far is that it was a 39-year-old French national that was currently investigated for terrorism links, was on a terror watch list, and had been sentenced in 2003 to 15 years in jail for attempted murders on 2 police officers.
And the police have searched a house, and that does give some indication as to who this was. The name may not be out there, but there's a lot of speculation in the press as to who it is.
Yes, indeed. I mean, the main contention is compared to Islamic State claim of responsibility last night that mentioned the name Abu Yusuf al-Belgiki that tends to say that he's Belgian. The person that carried out the attack was a French national. So it means 2 things. Either Islamic State totally got it wrong and they have the wrong person, or the second person that French authorities are actively looking for since last night is a Belgian national. So we might have a second jihadist on the loose.
And one Belgian national has handed himself in to police in Belgium, in Antwerp.
Yes, indeed, but it seems that it's the wrong person. He just came forward to say it wasn't him.
All of this needs to be confirmed, but it does look like the fact that the gunman had an AK-47, which is not a thing you can pick up on the street, that it was in some ways organized. It wasn't what you might call a lone wolf, maybe somebody with mental health issues has just decided to take it out on society. It looks more coordinated than that.
Yes, very much so. I mean, everything points to that in terms of the timing, just 3 days before the run-up to the French presidential election, the target police, and also the location Champs-Élysées, which is, the most famous thoroughfare in Paris. And also the fact that Islamic State claimed responsibility just 2 hours after the attack, which is very unusual for them. So it's not somebody likely to have been just inspired, but somebody that was closer to Islamic State than in other attacks, for instance.
Marine Le Pen, the far-right Front National candidate who's doing well in the polls, held her last rally a couple of days ago, before the election, and she said there are 10,000 people like these who are suspected of mounting this attack, 10,000 people on the S list, as it's called. Tell us about that.
Actually, she's wrong. There are 15,000 people on that S list, which is basically potential jihadists that could perpetrate an attack. So to put things in perspective, at one time, French security services can follow and monitor only 40 potential terrorists, 40. And they have on their list not those 15,000, but they're looking at particularly 3,000 of them. So you see how humongous and impossible the task at hand is.
And there's reporting that this man who carried out this attack was one of those who'd been investigated and allowed to go free.
Yes, the issue, as we talked about earlier, is without having the intel to know that somebody is going to carry out an attack, because of overstretched security services and the lack of means, it's impossible to follow everyone, even if if they're dangerous. I mean, they have to make choices. An attack like yesterday cannot really be prevented. What we can say is that the fact that there were 50,000 soldiers and police on the streets of France stopped the attack from being much more bloody than it was yesterday.
How do you think this might affect the election on Sunday?
Maybe less so than people expected. Unfortunately, French people have been now for 18 months used to terror attacks. Every little single event you see police and soldiers. If there would be any kind of major attack like in November 2015, then yes, that could have an impact. But this one, unfortunately, will be seen as a blip.
Olivier Guittard from the company Global Strat. More on that story coming.